You can't just show up here whenever you want anymore, Emma. This is my house now. My brother Derek stood in the doorway. My doorway. The house I'd been paying the mortgage on for 3 years. I stared at him, my hands full of groceries. Behind him, I could see new furniture. A massive TV mounted on the wall. My wall. "What are you talking about?" I asked. He smirked. "Mom and Dad signed it over to me last week. Didn't they tell you? You need to clear out your stuff by the end of the month." "I'm renovating." The groceries felt suddenly heavy in my arms. My keys were in my pocket. The same keys that apparently didn't work anymore. He'd changed the locks. On my house. What Derek didn't know was that Mom and Dad had no legal right to sign over anything. Because the house wasn't theirs. It was mine. And I had the deed to prove it. "My name is Emma Catherine Reed, and I am 31 years old. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I work as a senior financial analyst for Morrison Investments. I've been supporting myself completely since I was 18 years old. My brother Derek is 36. He's been the golden child our entire lives. The favorite. The one who could do no wrong. And for 25 years, I watched my parents give him everything while I got nothing but criticism and demands. Derek was always the center of my parents' universe. 5 years older, charming when he wanted to be, and completely incapable of taking responsibility for anything. My parents treated his failures like temporary setbacks. They treated my successes like lucky accidents. When I was 10 years old, I won the regional spelling bee, beat out 97 other kids. I studied for months, practiced every single night. My mother patted my head and said, "That's nice, sweetie." When Derek barely graduated high school, with a 2.1 GPA, they threw him a massive party, rented out a restaurant, invited everyone they knew, gave speeches about how proud they were. I graduated valedictorian. They came to the ceremony but left early. Derek had a hangover and needed them to bring him food. When Derek was 22, he wrecked his car driving drunk. My parents bought him a new one. A brand new Honda Accord. $32,000. When I was 17 and saved up $2,000 for a used car, my mother told me I should give the money to Derek instead. He was going through a hard time and needed it more. I didn't give him the money. I bought the car. My mother didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. Derek went to college on my parents' dime. State University. Full ride from them. He flunked out after 2 years. Partied too much. Skipped too many classes. They paid for him to go back. Twice. He never finished. I got a partial scholarship and worked 3 jobs to cover the rest. I graduated with a degree in finance and a 4.0 GPA. My father's response? "Well, you always were good with numbers. It's not like it was hard for you." When Derek lost his job at 28, he moved back home, stayed for 4 years, rent-free. My parents cooked his meals, did his laundry, gave him spending money. When I asked to stay with them for 2 weeks between apartments when I was 25, my mother said they didn't have room. Derek was using the guest room for his gaming setup. I stayed at a cheap motel and ate ramen for 2 weeks straight. The worst part wasn't the money. It was the casual cruelty. My mother once said to a neighbor, "Derek's going to make us so proud someday. Emma's already peaked. Good grades don't count for much in the real world." I was standing right there. She didn't even lower her voice. I learned to expect nothing from them, to celebrate my wins alone, to handle my losses without support. I learned that no matter what I accomplished, it would never be enough to earn what they gave Derek freely. Love, pride, support, a place to belong. The house had been my grandmother's, Patricia Reed, my father's mother. She died 2 years ago at 83. I'd visited her every week for 10 years. Took her to appointments, helped her with groceries, sat with her on lonely evenings. Derek visited twice a year, Christmas and her birthday. Always left early. Before she died, Grandma Patricia called me to the hospital, "The house is yours," she whispered. "I already had the lawyer draw up everything. Don't let your parents bully you out of it." She knew. She'd always known how they treated me. The will was read 3 weeks after her funeral. The house, valued at $340,000, went to me. Only me. My parents were furious. Derek was outraged. "This isn't fair," Derek shouted at the lawyer. "I'm the oldest. I should get the house." The lawyer, a patient woman named Sharon Mills, simply said, "Mrs. Reed's wishes were very clear. I got the deed, got the title transferred to my name, started paying the property taxes and insurance immediately. The house needed work, but it was mine. Really mine. The first thing I'd ever owned that my parents couldn't touch. I'd been slowly renovating it. New roof, updated electrical, fresh paint. I was planning to move in within 6 months. I visited every week to check on progress and handle repairs. Until today, when my own brother blocked me from entering. "You need to leave," Derek said from the doorway. "You're trespassing." "I own this house," I said clearly. "Not anymore. Mom and Dad gave it to me. They said Grandma would have wanted me to have it anyway. You just manipulated her when she was sick." My hands shook, not from fear, from rage. "Move," I said. "No." He started to close the door. I pulled out my phone and took a photo, Derek blocking the entrance, my house visible behind him. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Documenting," I said simply. Then I walked back to my car. I sat in the driveway for 10 minutes, watching my brother move around inside my house, sitting on furniture I didn't recognize, living a life he'd stolen. Something inside me went cold and sharp. I was done playing nice, done being the understanding one, done letting them take from me. I called my lawyer before I even pulled out of the driveway. What my family didn't know was that I'd been thriving. The financial analyst job was real, but it wasn't the whole picture. 3 years ago, I'd started investing. Really investing. I studied the market obsessively, made smart choices, took calculated risks. My portfolio was worth $486,000. I owned 3 rental properties in cheaper markets. They generated $4,800 a month in passive income. I'd also been promoted twice in 2 years. My current salary was $112,000 a year, plus bonuses. I was saving 70% of my income, living modestly, building wealth quietly. My parents thought I made $40,000 a year. I'd never corrected them. When my mother asked about my finances, I gave vague answers. Said I was doing fine. She never pressed. She was too busy worrying about Derek's perpetual money problems. Derek had gone through 12 jobs in 8 years. Currently, he was between opportunities. He'd been between opportunities for 14 months. My parents paid his rent, his car payment, his credit card bills. When Derek told people he was an entrepreneur, my mother nodded proudly. He wasn't an entrepreneur. He was unemployed. When I told people I was a financial analyst, my mother said, "It's just a desk job." I'd stopped sharing my wins with them years ago, stopped mentioning promotions or bonuses or investments. Why bother? They'd either ignore it or find a way to make it about Derek. But I'd kept detailed records, bank statements, investment reports, property deeds. I documented everything. And now, with Derek living in my house illegally, I was going to need every piece of evidence I had. I called my lawyer from the car. Her name was Michelle Torres. I'd hired her 6 months earlier to handle my estate planning. "Michelle, I need help. My brother changed the locks on my house and is claiming my parents gave it to him." There was a pause. Then her voice came back sharp and professional. "Do you have the deed?" "Yes, in my name, recorded with the county." "Have your parents attempted to transfer the property?" "I don't know, but they can't. It's mine. They have no legal claim. Then we file for eviction immediately, and possibly criminal trespassing charges. Can you meet me in an hour? Yes. I drove straight to her office. Michelle pulled up county records while I waited. The deed was still in my name. No transfers filed, no liens, nothing. Your parents can't give away property they don't own, Michelle said. Your brother is living there illegally. We'll file eviction paperwork today. In North Carolina, this should move quickly. How quickly? If he doesn't contest, we can have a sheriff enforcement in 3 weeks. If he fights it, maybe 6 weeks. But Emma, the law is entirely on your side. I felt something loosen in my chest. Do it, I said. File everything. That evening, I called my parents. My mother answered on the 3rd ring. Emma, honey, Derek said you stopped by the house. My house, I corrected. That he's living in illegally. Oh, don't be dramatic. We talked about this. Derek needs a place to stay and you weren't using it. You talked about it. I wasn't part of that conversation. And you can't give away property that isn't yours. Grandma would have wanted Derek to have it. My father's voice cut in. He was on speaker. Grandma specifically left it to me. In a legal will that you witnessed. You manipulated a dying woman, my mother said quietly. The accusation hung in the air. I visited her every week for 10 years. I cared about her. Where were you? We're busy. We have lives. So do I. And my lawyer is filing eviction paperwork against Derek tomorrow morning. He has 3 weeks to vacate my property. Silence. Then my father's voice, cold and hard. If you do this, you're not our daughter anymore. I almost laughed. When had I ever really been their daughter? Then I guess I'm not your daughter, I said. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter than I had in years. The text started within minutes. Derek, are you serious right now? Mom, please don't do this. We can talk about it. Dad, this is unacceptable. Call me immediately. I didn't respond. By midnight, I had 62 text messages, 29 missed calls, 11 voicemails. The messages followed a predictable pattern. First, confusion and disbelief. Derek, you can't evict me. Mom and Dad said this is my house. Mom, there must be a misunderstanding. Let's all sit down and discuss this calmly. Then came annoyance. Derek, this is ridiculous. I'm not leaving. Dad, stop being childish. Family doesn't treat family this way. By morning, they'd moved to guilt. Mom, your brother has nowhere to go. How can you do this to him? Derek, I thought we were family. I guess I was wrong. Dad, after everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? I read every message. Didn't reply to a single one. The voicemails were more of the same. My mother crying, my father yelling, Derek alternating between begging and threatening. Not once did anyone acknowledge that they'd tried to steal my house. Not once did anyone apologize. By day 3, they tried a different approach. Mom, we're worried about you. This isn't like you. Are you having some kind of breakdown? Derek, I forgive you for overreacting. Let's just forget this happened. Dad, if you drop this eviction nonsense, we can all move forward. Still, I said nothing. Week 2 brought desperation. Derek, I've been looking for apartments. Everything is so expensive. I need at least 6 months to save up. Mom, can you please just give him time? He's trying his best. Dad, you're destroying this family over a house. Is that really what matters most to you? I forwarded every message to Michelle. Keep these, she said. Document everything. If this goes to court, this shows their pattern of entitlement and manipulation. On day 19, Derek finally acknowledged reality. Derek, fine, you want to be like this? I'll leave, but don't expect me to ever speak to you again. I almost replied. Almost pointed out that not speaking to him sounded perfect, but I didn't. Silence was more powerful. And my Aunt Carol called on a Tuesday evening. She was my father's younger sister. 62 years old, retired teacher, and the only family member who'd ever called my parents out on their favoritism. Emma, your mother, called me. She's very upset. My stomach sank. Let me guess. She wants you to talk sense into me. She does. But I'm not calling for her. I'm calling because I want to hear your side. I hesitated. Aunt Carol had always been kind to me, but she was still family. Derek is living in my house. The one Grandma left me. He changed the locks. Mom and Dad told him it was his. They're angry I'm evicting him. Silence, then a long sigh. Of course they are. Emma, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you years ago. What? Your parents have always treated Derek like he walks on water. And you like you're an inconvenience. I've watched it your whole life. I called your mother out on it once. She didn't speak to me for 2 years. My throat tightened. I thought maybe I was being too sensitive. You're not. You never were. What they've done to you, the way they've erased your achievements and enabled Derek's failures, it's not normal. It's not okay. Tears burned my eyes. Validation from someone who'd witnessed it all felt overwhelming. I'm so tired, Aunt Carol. I know, sweetheart. And I know this eviction probably feels cruel to you. But it's not. Derek is a grown man. Your parents can't keep rescuing him at your expense. They said if I go through with it, I'm not their daughter anymore. Then they're fools. Emma, you're the only one in that family who has your life together. You're successful, independent, kind. They should be so proud of you. I couldn't speak. Just cried quietly into the phone. Do what you need to do, Aunt Carol said firmly. Evict him, set your boundaries, live your life, and know that I'm proud of you. I've always been proud of you. Thank you, I whispered. And Emma, if you need anything, a place to stay, money, just someone to talk to, you call me. Not them. Me. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment and cried for 20 minutes. Not from sadness. From relief. Someone saw it. Someone validated it. Someone said out loud what I'd known for years. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't the problem, they were. The promotion offer came the same week the eviction notice was served. Morrison Investments wanted to make me director of portfolio strategy. The role would oversee 15 analysts, manage client portfolios worth over $2 billion. The salary was $175,000 a year, plus performance bonuses that could add another $50,000. I was 31 years old. Most directors didn't make it to that level until their 40s. I read the email 3 times, then I accepted immediately. My boss, Richard Morrison, called personally. Emma, you've earned this. Your portfolio performance has been exceptional. Your clients trust you. Your team respects you. You're ready. Thank you, Richard. I won't let you down. I know you won't. That's why we're promoting you. I hung up and just sat there. In my modest apartment with my secondhand furniture and my carefully budgeted life, I'd done it. Built a career. Earned respect. Achieved something real. And my parents had no idea. When Derek got fired from his last job, a sales position making $38,000, my parents took him out to dinner to cheer him up. Spent $200 on steaks and wine. Told him it wasn't his fault. The manager had it out for him. When I got my first promotion 2 years ago, a jump to $75,000, I mentioned it at Sunday dinner. My mother said, "That's nice," and immediately asked Derek if he wanted more potatoes. I stopped telling them about work after that. My second promotion to $89,000 they never knew about. Now this third one, to $175,000, would also stay private. The company sent out a press release. Local business journal picked it up. My LinkedIn exploded with congratulations. Colleagues I'd worked with for years reached out. Former professors sent messages saying they'd always known I'd do great things. I got 193 LinkedIn notifications, 47 personal emails, messages from clients thanking me and congratulating me. My parents weren't on LinkedIn. Neither was Derek. They never saw any of it. 3 days later, the Business Journal published a feature, Rising Stars in Charlotte Finance. My photo was on the cover. The article talked about my investment strategy, my career trajectory, my education, called me one of the brightest minds in the local financial sector. I bought 5 copies, sent one to Aunt Carol, kept the rest. My parents still thought I was just a desk worker making $40,000 a year, and I was perfectly fine letting them keep thinking that. The eviction hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. Derek showed up with my parents. They sat on his side of the courtroom like this was a team sport. I sat alone, Michelle beside me in her sharp suit and no-nonsense expression. The judge was a woman in her 50s named Patricia Brennan. She reviewed the paperwork with careful attention. "Mr. Reed," she addressed Derek, "you're currently residing at 847 Maple Drive?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And you claim ownership of this property?" "My parents gave it to me. It was my grandmother's house. It should have gone to me in the first place." Judge Brennan looked at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Reed, did you transfer this property to your son? My father stood. We gave him permission to live there. The house should be his. Our mother would have wanted that. Do you have legal ownership of 847 Maple Drive? Silence. No, my mother finally said. But family property should stay in the family. It is staying in the family, Judge Brennan said. With Ms. Emma Reed, the legal owner according to the deed filed with this county. She looked at Derek. Mr. Reed, do you have any legal documentation showing ownership or right to occupy this property? Derek glanced at my parents. My parents said, legal documentation, a lease agreement, deed transfer, anything official. No. Then you are occupying the property illegally. Ms. Reed has every right to evict you. Derek's face flushed red. I'm her brother. She's doing this out of spite. I'm doing this because it's my house, I said quietly, that I've been paying for, that you're living in without permission. Judge Brennan nodded. Mr. Reed, you have 14 days to vacate the premises. All personal belongings must be removed. The property must be left in the same condition as when you entered. Failure to comply will result in sheriff enforcement. 14 days? Derek's voice pitched up. I need time to find a place. To save money. You've had 3 weeks since the eviction notice was filed. 14 days is generous. My father stood again. Your Honor, this is a family dispute. Can't we work something out? This isn't a family dispute, Mr. Reed. This is a property law matter. Your son is illegally occupying someone else's house. The law is very clear. She banged her gavel. 14 days. This hearing is concluded. Derek stood up so fast his chair fell over. This is bullshit. You're choosing a house over your own brother. Everyone in the courtroom turned to stare. Mr. Reed! Judge Brennan's voice was sharp. Another outburst and I'll hold you in contempt. Control yourself or leave. Michelle and I gathered our papers and walked out. Behind us, I heard my mother crying. My father's angry voice. Derek's protests. Outside the courthouse, Michelle turned to me. Well done. You stayed calm. Let the facts speak. Thank you for handling this. Emma, this isn't over. They're going to try to guilt you, manipulate you, make you feel like you're the villain. Don't engage. The sheriff will enforce if necessary. You don't have to do anything. I nodded. I knew she was right. The real battle was just starting. They showed up at my apartment that evening. All 3 of them. My parents and Derek. I looked through the peephole and almost didn't open the door. But I was tired of running, tired of avoiding, tired of letting them control the narrative. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. We need to talk, my father said. The judge already ruled. There's nothing to talk about. Emma, please. My mother's eyes were red. This is tearing our family apart. You tore it apart when you gave my house to Derek. It was Grandma's house, Derek said. It should have gone to me. I'm the oldest. Grandma left it to me, in a legal will, that you all witnessed. You manipulated her, my father said coldly. I almost laughed. I visited her. I spent time with her. I cared about her. That's not manipulation. That's called being a good granddaughter. We were busy, my mother protested. Too busy to visit your own mother for 10 years? But not too busy to take Derek out for expensive dinners every time he gets fired? My father's face reddened. Watch your tone. No, the word came out sharp. I'm done watching my tone. Done making myself smaller. Done pretending this is normal. I stepped fully into the hallway. Let's talk about normal. When Derek wrecked his car drunk, you bought him a new one. When I saved up for a car, you told me to give him my money instead. That's not... my mother started. When Derek flunked out of college, you paid for him to go back. Twice. When I asked you to help with one textbook, Dad told me I needed to learn responsibility. You were always so independent, my mother said weakly. I was independent because you gave me no choice. You gave Derek everything and me nothing. For my entire life. Derek scoffed. This is about you being jealous. Jealous of what? Your 12 failed jobs? Your complete inability to support yourself? Your absolute lack of accountability? Derek's going through a hard time, my father said. Derek has been going through a hard time for 36 years. And you keep enabling him! You keep paying his bills and making excuses and blaming everyone else. My voice echoed in the hallway. A neighbor's door cracked open, then closed quickly. Lower your voice, my father hissed. Why? So the neighbors don't hear how you've treated me? So no one knows you tried to steal my house? We didn't steal anything, my mother said. We were trying to help Derek. At my expense. Like always. I looked at all three of them. I graduated valedictorian. You left my ceremony early. Derek barely graduated and you threw him a party. We celebrated you, my mother protested. You sent a text that said good job. That's not celebration. I pulled out my phone, opened my photos, found the one I'd saved. Here. This is the text you sent when I graduated summa cum laude from college. Read it out loud. I held the phone up. My mother looked away. My father read it. Congrats. Can you pick up milk on your way home? That's what my college graduation was worth to you. A one-word congratulations and an errand. Silence. When Derek got a C+ average in high school, you took him to Paris. That trip was already planned, my father said. It was a graduation present. You told everyone it was a graduation present. I heard you. My mother's lip trembled. We did our best. Your best for Derek. I got your leftovers. That's not fair, Derek said. They love both of us. No, they love you. They tolerate me. I looked at my parents. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me one time you chose me over Derek. One time you put my needs first. One achievement of mine you celebrated the way you celebrate his mediocrity. They said nothing. You can't, because it never happened. My father's jaw clenched. We took you to the zoo for your 10th birthday. The zoo you were already taking Derek to. I just came along, and you spent the whole day at the exhibits he wanted to see. You're remembering it wrong, my mother whispered. I'm remembering it exactly right. And I've spent 31 years making excuses for you, telling myself you were busy, or stressed, or just bad at showing affection. But the truth is simpler. I took a breath. You're capable of love. You're capable of support and pride and affection. You just never gave any of it to me. That's not true, my mother said, crying now. Then prove it. Name one thing I've accomplished, one thing you're proud of. They looked at each other, searching for an answer. You have a good job, my father finally said. What job? What's my title? You work with numbers. What company? Silence. You don't know. You've never asked. You don't know my salary, my title, my responsibilities. You don't know anything about my life because you've never cared enough to learn. Derek rolled his eyes. This is so dramatic. You changed the locks on my house. You stole my property. And I'm dramatic? Mom and Dad said it was mine. They can't give away things they don't own. How are you 36 years old and don't understand basic property law? I understand that family is supposed to help each other. Then where were you when I needed help? Where were any of you? I looked at my parents again. When I was 25 and between apartments, I asked to stay with you for 2 weeks. You said no. Derek had been living with you for 3 years at that point. We didn't have room, my mother said. You had room. You just didn't want me there. My father crossed his arms. You're twisting everything to make yourself the victim. I'm stating facts. Facts you can't deny because they're true. So what do you want? Derek demanded. An apology? You want us to get on our knees and beg? I don't want anything from you anymore. That's the point. I stepped back toward my door. Derek has 14 days to get out of my house. After that, the sheriff will remove him. You can be as angry about it as you want, but it's happening. If you do this, my father said slowly, you're not welcome in this family anymore. I was never welcome. I just finally stopped pretending I was. I went inside and closed the door, locked it, stood there listening to them argue in the hallway. My mother crying, Derek yelling, my father's low, angry voice. Eventually they left. I sat on my couch in the quiet apartment and cried, not because I'd lost them, because I'd finally admitted they were never mine to lose. Derek moved out on day 13. One day before the sheriff was scheduled to enforce, Michelle called to confirm. He left the keys on the counter. The house is yours. I drove over that afternoon. The place was a mess. Trash everywhere. Holes in the walls. Carpet stained. My beautiful hardwood floors scratched and damaged. It would cost thousands to repair. I took photos of everything. Sent them to Michelle. Small claims court, she said. Sue for damages. You'll win. I filed the paperwork the next week. Derek didn't show up to court. Automatic judgment in my favor. $8,200. He didn't have it. I knew he wouldn't. I garnished his wages. Except he didn't have wages. Eventually I'd get the money. Or I wouldn't. Either way, he'd have a judgment on his record for 7 years. My parents stopped speaking to me entirely. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I heard through Aunt Carol that they were furious, telling family members I'd stolen Derek's house, that I was vindictive and cruel. Some relatives believed them. Sent me angry messages about respecting family. I blocked them all. Others reached out quietly. I always thought they treated you differently. I'm sorry. Those people I kept in touch with. Derek bounced between friends' couches for 2 months, then moved back in with my parents. At 36 years old, living in his childhood bedroom, Aunt Carol told me he'd applied for disability, claiming anxiety made him unable to work. He's never been diagnosed with anything, she said. He's just gaming the system. Of course he is. He's never faced a real consequence in his life. 6 months after the eviction, Derek's car was repossessed. The brand new Honda my parents bought him years ago. He'd never made a single payment himself. My parents tried to get another loan to buy him something else. They were denied. Turned out their credit was destroyed. Too much debt co-signed for Derek. Too many loans they couldn't repay. They had to sell their house. I heard about it through Aunt Carol. They downsized to a 2-bedroom condo. Derek moved with them. 3 people in a small space. The golden child they'd sacrificed everything for still dependent on them at nearly 40. My mother tried to reach me once. Left a voicemail. Emma, it's Mom. I know we haven't talked, but I wanted you to know we're moving. If you want any family photos or mementos from your childhood, you should come get them. Biting tea. I didn't call back. I didn't want mementos from a childhood I'd rather forget. A year later, I heard Derek got engaged. To a woman he'd known for 3 months. She was wealthy. Family money. Derek had finally found someone to support him. They were married 6 months later. I wasn't invited. I sent them nothing. Not a card. Not a gift. Not a thought. Aunt Carol went to the wedding. Said it was awkward and sad. Your parents spent the whole time bragging about Derek to anyone who'd listen. Didn't mention you once. Good, I said. And meant it. I moved into Grandma's house after the repairs were finished. It took 4 months and $22,000. New floors, new paint, fixed walls, updated fixtures. Every penny worth it. The house was beautiful. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a yard with old oak trees. In a neighborhood I loved. I filled it with furniture I chose. Art I liked. Books I wanted to read. No hand-me-downs. No guilt, no compromises. Just mine. Work continued to thrive. As Director of Portfolio Strategy, I managed accounts worth $2.4 billion. My team grew to 18 people. We won awards, got recognition in industry publications, built a reputation for smart, ethical investing. I made $237,000 that year with bonuses. I invested aggressively. My portfolio hit $712,000. My rental properties were fully occupied. Passive income hit $6,300 a month. I was 32 years old and well on my way to financial independence. The life my parents said I'd never have without their help. I traveled. Paris, Rome, Barcelona. Places I'd always wanted to see. I ate at nice restaurants. Bought quality things. Donated to causes I believed in. I lived fully. Without guilt. Without apology. I made friends. Real friends who valued me. My neighbor Susan became one of my closest confidants. 71 years old, sharp and funny and endlessly kind. We had coffee every Sunday morning on my porch. You seem happy, she said one morning. I am, I realized. Really happy. Good, you deserve it. I started dating. Slowly, carefully. Met a man named Thomas at a work conference. He was kind, stable, successful in his own right. When I told him about my family, he didn't minimize it. That sounds incredibly painful. I'm sorry you went through that. That simple validation meant everything. We took it slow. Built something real. A year later, he moved into the house with me. The house my grandmother left me. The house I'd fought for. The house that represented everything I'd built on my own. We were happy there. I looked around at my life sometimes and marveled. This was what I'd been working toward. Peace. Security. Love. Belonging. Not from the family I was born into. From the life I'd built myself. The letter came 2 years after the eviction. My mother's handwriting on cream-colored stationery. Dear Emma, I know it's been a long time. I've been thinking about you, about everything that happened. I miss you. Your father and I would like to talk, to maybe work things out. You're our daughter. Family is forever. Please call me. Love, Mom. I read it twice. There was no apology. No acknowledgement of what they'd done. No accountability. Just vague language about missing me and working things out. I put the letter in a drawer and didn't respond. 3 months later, Derek's wife left him. Aunt Carol told me the whole story. She'd discovered he wasn't working, that he'd been lying about job interviews, that he expected her to support him while he figured things out. She filed for divorce after 8 months of marriage. Derek moved back in with my parents. Again. 2 weeks after his divorce was finalized, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Emma, it's Mom. I know. Silence, then. How have you been? Fine. That's good. That's really good. Listen, I was hoping we could meet for coffee. Just the two of us talk. About what? About everything. About family. I miss you, sweetheart. The endearment felt false. She'd never called me sweetheart. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just one coffee. One conversation. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a neutral coffee shop. She was already there when I arrived. She looked older, tired, worn down in a way I'd never seen. Thank you for coming, she said. I sat across from her and waited. How's work? She asked. Good. And you're still in the house? Grandma's house? My house, yes, she flinched. Right, your house. We sat in awkward silence. Finally, she spoke. I know things have been difficult between us. I know you think we favored Derek. I don't think it. You did. We just wanted to help him. He struggled so much. He struggled because you never let him face consequences. She looked down at her coffee. Maybe you're right. Maybe we did make mistakes. It wasn't an apology. It was barely an acknowledgement. Why did you want to meet, Mom? She took a breath. Your father and I are getting older. We're thinking about the future, about what happens when we're gone. There it was. You want to make sure I don't cut you out of my life completely. So I'll help when you're old. That's not... She stopped. We're family, Emma. You said I wasn't your daughter anymore if I evicted Derek. Your father was angry. He didn't mean it. He's never taken it back. She twisted her napkin. Things are hard right now. Money is tight. Derek's divorce was expensive. We're trying to help him get back on his feet. You're always trying to help Derek get back on his feet. Maybe it's time he learned to stand on his own. He's your brother. He stole my house. You helped him. We made a mistake. Finally. Almost an admission. One mistake? I asked quietly. Just one? She said nothing. What about my 10th birthday? My high school graduation? My college degree? Every achievement you ignored and every time you chose him over me. Were those all mistakes too? Tears filled her eyes. I did my best. Your best wasn't good enough. I stood up. I forgive you, Mom. Not because you deserve it. Because I don't want to carry this anger anymore. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I can forgive you and still choose to not have you in my life. Emma, please. I'm happy now. Really happy. And that happiness doesn't include people who spent 30 years making me feel worthless. I walked out of that coffee shop and didn't look back. I'm 34 years old now. I wake up in a house I own, next to a man who loves me, in a life I built entirely myself. I don't think about my family often anymore. They're not part of my daily thoughts. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty. If I should have tried harder, forgiven more. But then I remember. I tried for 31 years. I forgave 1,000 small cruelties. I made myself smaller and quieter and less demanding. It was never enough, because the problem wasn't me. It was never me. They were incapable of seeing me as valuable, as worthy, as enough. And once I understood that, I stopped trying to earn something they couldn't give. I built a different kind of family. Friends who show up, a partner who sees me, colleagues who respect me, a community that values me. Family isn't about blood. It's about behavior, about how people treat you, about whether they make space for you to be fully yourself. My biological family never made that space, but I made it for myself. People ask sometimes if I regret cutting them off. I don't. I regret the years I wasted hoping they'd change, the energy I spent trying to be perfect enough to earn their love. But walking away, setting boundaries, choosing myself, those are the best decisions I ever made. The scared girl who just wanted to belong is still in me somewhere, but she's not in charge anymore. The woman I've become is strong, independent, whole. She doesn't need their approval. She has her own, and that's more than enough. Thank you for listening to this story on Revenge Posts Within. If this resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose yourself over people who refuse to see your worth, you know how much courage that takes. Hit the like button Share this with someone who needs to hear they're not alone, and subscribe to Revenge Posts Within for more stories about finding your voice, setting boundaries, and discovering that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do.